My guest today is a Bandra boy who left home at 17, spent 7 years at sea, ended up in Bangalore by way of love, not ambition, and then accidentally built one of India's most beloved live music venues.
5 years later, with an investment of 40 lakh rupees and a little help from their friends, Trumpet stepped into the world of hospitality. Opus, a pub, cafe, restaurant and amphitheatre where it's all about the go-in spirit of eat, drink, sing, dance and make merry 8 days a week.
He's performed for British Airways, Rolls-Royce, Red Bull and the India International Centre. He's played weddings in Finland and festivals in Australia. He has a repertoire of over 2,500 songs. But here's what the bio doesn't tell you. He launched a venue that Bangalore went into mourning over when it closed. And he closed it himself, voluntarily, at the height of its success, because the business had stopped feeling like music. During the COVID lockdown, he sat in his bedroom with a microphone and sang live every night for 250 nights. 10 million views. No studio, no band. Just Carlton and a request list. He also helped discover multiple talents during his time at Opus, one of them being Sanam, before they had 3 million YouTube subscribers and before anyone was watching. And this was done through a karaoke competition he ran at Opus. He is a musician, a venue founder, a talent spotter, a photographer, a traveler, and by his own admission, not a great marketer. Ladies and gents, welcoming Carlton Braganza.
Thank you for having me. Wonderful setting.
Thank you for hosting me at this beautiful place, which is Amanpuri in Thailand. And here we are exclusively to shoot this episode of the Vic Fix.
It's been so long since we actually met, but I've been following what you're doing, and we've got some really cool people on this show that they are reviews.
Thanks so much, Carlton. Yeah. Let's go back to where it all started. You left Bandra when you were at the age of 17. You got enlisted in the Merchant Navy. What were you running towards or running away from?
Running away from home. I went with a bunch of friends who were applying for the Merchant Navy, and whereas engineering at the time, and most of them didn't get in. I just got in because of academics and whatever else I was doing, and I thought, okay, it's a great thing to do for a while. Money was damn good. We were in a foreign company as cadets. We were earning in dollars. And I thought to myself, 4 years down the line, engineering, I would start up at the bottom. Here in 4 years, I would be a second mate, chief officer, captain, whatever. And I went through that run of every time you come back, you give an exam and you raise in your rank and stuff like that. But so we did that, and I never really intended to stop sailing. But when we got married, Gina said to me, I'm at a position in my career where give me a year and I'll sail with you, and then I said, okay, but what do I do in that interim? And then she said, I'll pass on some work in the events creative kind of space. Why don't you give a shot at it? It kind of worked. I found that I like doing stuff like that. In about a couple of months, she said, oh, this is working. I will quit my job and we'll start this together. And hence, we kind of started this company called Trumpet, which was events, advertising, marketing, whatever. She was the kind of marketing person. I was the creative. And I never went back to sea. And till today, I haven't officially left sea. But it just happened, and I drifted along, and So that's the story. Really, yeah.
So then you would also say that whatever happened at the right time, and there's a reason for it.
Absolutely, my eyes has been kind of that. I just find myself being in places that I don't know how I've landed up here. From as random as being at the Kumbh Mela to Mahashivratri at the Isha Yoga Center this year, and that too in a charter plane. So yeah, so it's I never question it. I find myself in the most amazing of places like this.
Yeah. Reading through some of your previous articles while I was doing my research on you, you say that Bandra is still in you, but you have spent over 30 years in Bangalore. Do you somewhere feel caught between both these places? And what's your true identity?
I'm a non-regular of sorts. I'm a mixed bag. So I love to kind of imbibe different things along the way. And I can't really, even with music, if people ask me, what genre do you sing? And I can't define it because it's from anything from opera to jazz to classic to country to, So even to answer your question, Bandra has kind of been those growing years where I kind of the formative kind of year. Growing up in the parish, in the church, in school, singing lessons, having competitions that you take part in, learning the violin when I was a kid, rather forced to play, and all of these things are, in a Catholic household, you kind of get pushed into doing these things,
Right.
That you resent.
But at that time.
But eventually it holds you in really good stead because the kind of influences you have is very defining in that sense. But then and for the longest time I couldn't find myself or rather find my foot in Bangalore. Once we started Trumpet and Opus, and once the city kind of embraced what we were doing, it kind of became home of sorts, and that's when I kind of said, okay, Bandra is still very much part of me, but I don't think I can live there anymore. It was a nice happy mix of when I go back and when I come here.
Let's talk about jukebox jammies and the pandemic. Okay. Night 1 of jukebox jammies.
That's the best story of the. Again, it's one of those accidents that really poop up.
Yeah. So, what were you actually feeling when you pressed go live for the first time? Were you, dumb, or were you?
It's there for everyone to see. It's really there for everyone to see because I was looking in the camera, saying, "Can you see me? Can you hear me?" I was looking at myself, adjusting my mustache, all of that good shit I was doing. And I didn't know what the first thing about what they like. And I had about maybe 10 people online that were there. And at first evening was a disaster. I sang a few songs just without any backing track, nothing there. But eventually, over the course of the next 4-5 days, people started kind of tuning in, coming in, asking if you needed help. Right. Used to spend the whole morning kind of technically looking at how we can do this better. And it became a kind of an industry an obsessive industry that we kind of had nothing better to do. But on the other hand, this really kept a whole bunch of people occupied.
You were looking at other people doing this as well, right?
Yeah.
What was the one, or what were the couple of things that made you much more successful than anyone else who were live streaming at that point of time? Because every live stream of yours, the follow count and the view count just kept going up and up and up. And there was never a drop. And during my research, I read that you said probably you will stop it if the follow count drops or something like that happens. Right? But then
there were 3 things I said too.
Yeah, exactly.
I said there were 3 reasons.
If you get bored, the follower count drops,
or if the quality of the show doesn't improve on a daily basis.
Exactly.
Yeah. So every day we were finding, I was finding how to collaborate with somebody sitting in the UK. I was finding out how to put different, icons on my screen, having a viewer count pop up, all of these things were new and novel, and I was finding different ways to keep people engaged. But the key point to answer your question, and it's true in both cases, in Opus as well as in Vic Fix, was, I don't know, inherently I have probably a skill to bring community together. So it happened with Opus. Yeah, it was a community. It was a die-hard community. And with Jukebox Jammies also, you found people who were across ages. Kids sitting in some country and grandmother sitting in another. And every evening at 9:30, everybody would get online. Initially to look at me sing some and do some dance moves and you just be a monkey again. Yeah. But that was subsequent eventually, because people started their own community online. It was a great time and brought a lot of people together. And then I started doing things offline. And
we also know that in the third or the fourth episode itself, you got Kingfisher and then you got Paul John.
I mean, nobody would probably believe me, but honestly, I do most of these things on instinct. I don't really think it through.
Right.
I mean, for me, it's super basic that, okay, Kingfisher didn't have any outlets to spend in.
Right.
And I'm saying I'm doing something every evening. Yeah. So I will drink a beer and where do you bring me for it? And they said, we can't afford you, whatever. But I said, whatever it is. And then it ran for almost 2 months. So that, and then Boy John came on and I had the crates of alcohols because some of the brands were just giving me in barter. But I had a lot of people who used to listen to the show and then say, when COVID ends, I will we will host you at London, or we will host you in Australia or whatever. So I mean, I thought it was a blow there, but people actually acted upon it. Xperia happened there, 3-4CB happened there. Yeah, London happened. Whenever I go to a certain place, I always have people who are willing to host me, taking out, fix up a gig. So I think the thing of doing something without any real agenda that kind of is the key. And I say it still. Everyone says to me, you did this for the world and for the community I keep telling people I did this myself. I did this because I had nothing else to do. Basic, I had nobody else to drink with. I needed somebody to drink with. I did this.
And you just shared the time with the world.
I shared the time with the world and brought everyone together. Basically, it was amazing that it happened. And I guess the differentiator was, for me, it's more about, in the middle of a song, saying hello to somebody, right? Poking a joke at somebody, changing the lyric of a song, and I'm doing this on the fly, and I'm doing all these things. It's not a conventionally, perfect performing, right? But it's engaging. It's what I do, yeah. And that's, I guess, what was the fun of it.
Once money entered the room, that is Jukebox Jammies, do you think it changed the energy of the show?
No. I don't think so. Because I would have done it irrespective. And this is the story of my life. I mean, I keep telling people, they ask me, some people will say, you charge a lot. But I keep telling people I'll do it for nothing if I want to. I am not somebody who looks at it. I look at it to do what I do because I like to do it. Yeah. And of course, I won't do every gig for nothing. But I'm saying that in most cases, I'm not money centric. Primarily because I don't really. I still consider it a hobby. I still consider it something that is not work.
There is something that I enjoy doing, and yeah, so it's worked for me. Let's put it that way. Yeah.
You have watched a lot of artists come through Opus and some flame out. Okay. What consistent trait have you seen in those who have made it?
I guess consistency is the key with anything. There have been super talents that have kind of stayed it up because of the fact that they aren't consistent. Now I would also put myself in that bracket of not being consistent.
I'm very erratic. Probably would have been a lot better, doing a lot more because I was consistent, both with my, social media or
My whatever, right? But I think that discipline and consistency is what's key, other than having talent. Yeah, talent. And again, I have this thing that I say always. As a singer, a voice is 20%, 30% part of what you need to make it. I mean, you need to be able to engage. You need to, we need to read the room. You need to know your a whole bunch of things. Yeah, but the talent and the voice is a small part of it. It's not really it's not really the be all and end all of being an app. So yeah, so that.
But tell me one thing, is it something that you regret, not being more consistent in posting or those things? Because I think that's the trade-off that an artist, needs to live with, because if you're giving enough time to music, then you can't be doing everything else. And if you're doing everything else, you're a businessman, right? You're again not an artist.
Absolutely. So, yeah. True. Absolutely. I mean, I think there are gaps in what I do, but overall, I'm not regretting it, and it's fine.
Where do you see yourself like 5 or 10 years from now?
I think I'm already retired. Yeah. So in a sense, I think I don't do the kind of gigs that say, oh, I'm in a different city every day. I'm doing. I have. These are my tour dates. First, third, fifth, seventh of the month. I'm in this city. That's whatever. I don't do that.
You're more like the impromptu walk into your bar, pick up the mic and...
I'm more of that. I book only a one-way ticket.
I don't know what my tomorrow is going to be. And here in Phuket today and Amanpuri, I mean, I'm enjoying it.
Right.
I haven't booked out of there. But
something will come up. And I will find my flag there. And it will take these. So I work kind of gig to gig in that sense. Don't do more than 3-4 in a month. Yeah. And those are fun paying gig. The rest of the time, I mean, and those take me to places, and those take me and cover my whatever I need to do. It keeps my already going, as I say.
Got it. And post that, I kind of have great fun in jamming with different bands, in connecting with different musicians, and just enjoying my space and doing things. I'm in no rush, so I consider it pretty much retirement. I'm not really dipping into my savings. It's already I'm taking care of but I am. The alternative is me being based in India and or whatever, and then spending to go on a holiday, right? The holiday also will be twice a year, maybe twice a year. Yeah. Here the holidays are being taken care of by the gigs that I do. So of course, yeah. So it's a different way of looking at it. I have nothing to kind of, right.
We ran a psychological profile analysis on you, okay? And we found some amazing traits, right, of you. So I'm going to walk you through this, and this is what you tell us, that if these are correct, okay? The first one is that you are an impulse-led decision maker. The second one is that you are extremely identity protective. Two, you are self-deprecating but quietly proud.
Oh, very true. Dude, I want your psychotherapy.
You are extremely community-oriented. Yeah, no doubt about that. Privately reticent.
I'm almost recluse, almost a hermit, which nobody will
actually identify with because of the kind of person I am. But I'm here sitting on a day which I should be celebrating, and I'm in a place which I'm fortunate enough to have friends who say come on over and and yeah and yeah.
Yeah, guys, by the way, today's Carlton's birthday. So, yeah, Carlton has taken time to be on our podcast on his birthday, which is so sweet of him. But
Thank you. Thank you.
Carlton, you have performed for some of the most high profile names in the country, okay, including Vijay Mallya
I know where you're going with it.
and Lalit Modi. What do rooms like that teach you about power, influence, and how people really behave behind closed doors?
I consider most of these guys equals, friends, whatever you may call it, because a lot of them don't really treat me like I'm a performer on the side and doing something like that.
Yeah.
In fact, Lalit also was he asked me if I was coming.
Right.
First he invited me for the party, then I said I will do something, and then we did this party and it was a great party. So I don't know why I belong in those rooms, as you may call it. I have no business being there. But I guess music is an interesting unifier,
Yeah.
and they see some value in me being there. At the end of the day, music breaks down barriers, breaks down hierarchy, and you get
Gets
everybody
everyone
singing
together.
and dancing together and having a good time. I mean, and if you can do that, you've achievement unlocked. Yeah.
Okay, if you have to give some advice to someone who wants to get to where you are, right? Both in terms of career growth as well as making it to the top. What advice would you give them?
I'm super unconventional, so I don't even know whether advice that I give will work for somebody
Or
else,
will be relevant?
will be relevant, will work for somebody else. I mean, mine is just kind of I can't expect somebody to kind of just not do anything and things will come to you. At the same time, I mean, you have a lot of people who I think are faking it till they make it.
Yeah.
And we won't go there, but I mean, each to his own, yeah. And if they can sleep at night, it's fine. From a performance standpoint, and what works for me, and I never perform for myself, in the sense that, I mean, as I said, I don't have a set list. I don't have a preconceived way of approaching a gig. If somebody wants rock, give them rock. If somebody wants Bollywood, give them Bollywood. If somebody wants so I mean, they are the people that you're doing it for. You're not doing it for yourself,
Right.
and in many cases, people will say, I won't do this because it's not my thing to do.
Yeah.
That's not something I would ever do.
Right.
So I think that's something that I believe in. Don't really. It's them that you need to connect with. It's them that you need to get onto your side before you start shoving something from your side onto
that
them.
you like.
Yeah.
Carlton, let's talk about the Opus episode now. Opus was a venue that the whole of Bangalore loved.
It's all about community. It's a kind of a cultish space. We have quiz nights, we have bands, we have DJs, karaoke nights to dance nights. I think I've been coming to Opus for about 8 years now. This is like second home.
It's truly the little Goa of Bangalore. Ambience is just really makes me feel really comfortable.
Well, the spare ribs are really, really, really cool. They're extremely delicious.
You have to get here to experience it for yourself.
It can't get better than this.
You chose to close Opus because, specifically in your words, you're tired of doing things beyond jumping like a monkey on stage. Okay. What was the turning point at which you realized, that enough was enough and then you had to shut it down?
So there's a bit of a backstory to this. I mean, as I said, Gina was in this big expansion phase. We had a couple of opuses. We had on Pune. We had a radio station. We had a hotel. We had whatever, and it was what we did together. I mean, we started Opus. She would take care of F&B, and I would be the more creative person.
Right.
The kind of thing was, we had a thing going on amongst us saying that I will bring the people to the venue.
Yeah.
And so I would take care of creative. I would take care of curation, bringing people here, and once they are here, you take care of them. Whatever goes on the table, whatever is the excise, security, whatever she would handle.
Right.
And so that's how we ran. And she was in this phase of expansion. And then what happened 2009.
Yeah.
And left me with all of this. So I didn't know what I was supposed to do with it. We ran Opus and ran some of its best years from 2009 to 2015 when we shut.
Right.
But I just felt that I was the one who was, doing things that wearing a hat that I never wanted to wear in the first place. It was, it wasn't, I wasn't enjoying it. Running a venue,
Right.
and so we decided to kind of get a management person in, look at somebody coming in to run that piece,
Yeah.
and allow me the freedom of.
So you tried that
yeah,
option.
Yeah. We tried that option. We actually shut the place down. We were going to bring it down. We were going to reconstruct, get it. But it never kind of took off the way we envisioned, and
Got it.
and for whatever reasons, it never took off.
Right.
And so we closed, and that's probably the story that
Right. Do you feel being a nightclub or a pub or a venue owner in Bangalore is much more tougher compared to anywhere else in the world?
For sure. I mean, they make it so difficult for you. I mean, excise and cops and neighbors and sound and all of these things they just kind of make it actually tie all your hands up and then tell you to run.
And that was primarily also one of the reasons why you chose to close it, because
100%.
it was impeding your creative freedom.
100%. 100%.
Right.
That's it's I was a working partner. I had all
Right.
my all my money stuck in the system because working capital or whatever. Everyone else was having a ball. The place was doing well. Everyone was
Right.
making money. I was the one who was not seeing the benefits of
Right.
that. And I was like, why am I doing this? I've done this for long enough. I'm fulfilling somebody else's dreams, and I'd rather have some fun
Right.
on my own.
Yeah.
So that was the whole.
But if, like, let's say if you would have reopened it today, okay, would you have changed the way things worked, or would you have taken a whole different approach considering what you did then?
I say that there was a time and a place, and everything magically fit together.
Yeah.
In those years at Opus, we ran
Yeah.
for about 11, 12, 13 years. I don't know what.
Right.
But it was a magical time, and I think for it to happen again, all those pieces need to come together again,
Of
which I don't
course.
think is happening. Will happen because everything has moved and has found different things. I mean, it was a time and a place that was special, and
Right.
and I don't think that can be recreated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We all know that Bangalore went into mourning when Opus closed. Did you feel the weight of that responsibility, especially to your staff, to all the artists who used to perform, and to the regulars when you made the choice?
Yeah, but as I said to you, I mean, of course, I felt the weight of it, and of course, it was one of the hardest decisions that I had to make. But the fact of the matter is, is that I ran it for 6 years, almost 5 years, 6 years after Gina, and we ran it well, and we ran it, and it was, I mean,
Yeah.
But eventually, I was finding myself getting stuck in a rut, and not being able to do what I like to do.
Yeah.
I was looking at menus and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
it didn't really make any sense.
Yeah.
And hence took the decision that I did, and I haven't regretted it really. Yeah.
But looking back at that point of time, and tracing your journey back from where you started, we know that you got into the Navy, and then you got into this, and then you started performing. Do you feel somewhere that Opus gave you the wings and the self-realization to understand that this is where I'm from heart or by passion, I'm a musician, and I cannot be bound, and I just need to take the music out to the world? Was that thought
For sure.
from Opus,
For
stemmed
sure.
from Opus?
No question. I mean, the stage was set there, and I mean that was something we did, and it definitely gave us a platform to just launch.
Yeah.
And
At that point of time, did you realize that you are going to become a musician and just be a musician for the rest of your life? Or was it again like a decision that was taken on a whim, but you said that, okay, I'm taking this decision, I will stick with it and let's see where it takes me? Was that the approach you took?
So it's a bits and pieces. I mean, I still don't consider myself only a musician. I mean, I like to think myself of, there's a whole bunch of things that come together in what I do, whether it be creative, whether it be, photography, art, writing, whatever.
Yeah.
Music is also part of it,
Right.
but it is a whole bunch of things that come together, and which is what Opus was. I mean, it was a multifaceted
amalgamation
octopus.
of many things.
It was an amalgamation of many things, and that's why it kind of worked in a sense. So if you ask me, I mean, am I only a musician right now? I don't think I am, but
Right.
but yeah, it's what's like on the top of the list at the moment, and which gets me around, and it's great. But there's no denying the fact that there are other things that come into play.
Right.
That make it work. Yeah.
Let's talk about the new Opus that then came up at Hallur Road. It was described as slick and racy in comparison to the original one that was warm and fuzzy and very beach shacky vibe, right? Once you gave out your name to the other venue, were you concerned that Opus brand legacy, the name, would be diluted?
Yes, I didn't probably think it through too much. It was the brand was quiet for a while, and one of the old partners wanted to use the name, and it was slick and racy, as you said, but it didn't. I mean, it had a lot of bells and whistles and stuff like that, but it didn't have the soul that Opus had. I mean, Opus was all about soul. I mean, we had nobody could ever say that we had the best sound or the best seating or the best ambience, but it was all about soul, and it was all about community, and it was all about a whole bunch of things that came together and made it work. But the Hallur one had everything in place. Maybe I was disillusioned, or rather rose tinted in my view of saying that, oh wow, this is like this is like a proper upgrade.
Yeah.
But it didn't really work because I mentally disassociated with it. I didn't have anything. I didn't have anything to do with it other than give it the name.
Yeah.
And it didn't really have me as the soul of Opus.
Yeah.
And so it didn't really work. I mean, there was a big disconnect. So that's what happened, and why it didn't work.
We know that you have been doing this now for 30 years, okay, without a major label, without a manager or a hit single. Okay. Is that freedom, or have you been left behind by an industry that was never designed for you?
So yeah, it's a constant tussle that I have in my head about, where would I have been if I had all of these pieces put together. On the flip side, I stand to lose, the way I am, the freedom I possess, the the kind of impulsive decisions I am able to make, because it's amazing to be able to do that as well, and I'm sure that they both have some give and take in it.
Of course.
So yeah, maybe finding that right balance of somebody, if you have a manager who can understand the nuances of how you operate and work with that, then maybe
Right.
that kind of works. But as of now, I'm okay, trying to survive in the ecosystem that I've only created.
Yeah. What would have to be true for you to consider yourself a success? And do you believe yourself today that you are a success?
So there are two ways of looking at this. One, I don't think there is anybody who looks at what I do, how I live, who will not consider me a success.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, from being able to travel the world, to find venues that I perform in, to the people that I hang out with, whatever, my life,
Yeah.
everyone would definitely label that as a success. There's no question about it. The flip side is, if I introspect and say, okay, is this all that I can be doing, have done, will do, then definitely there is a gap. I mean, I would love to fill bigger venues. I would love to connect with more people. Obviously, I would
Yeah.
love to perform at the Royal Albert or whatever, Opera House or Grand Opry or whatever that may be. But it's there's some, or with a big band. But those are things that, as I said, you need a whole system in place. You need you need planning, discipline,
Right.
Commitment, all of those things which I somehow am grappling with. So
Yeah.
so it'll happen. It'll happen in its own due course. But yeah, we wait for it.
All right, Carlton, we are now going to move into my favorite section of this whole episode, which is the rapid fire.
Should I be scared?
You got to say the first thing that comes to your mind. No thinking, no long pauses. Whatever comes, just come straight out with it.
Wow.
Bandra or Bangalore? What's home?
Bangalore. I mean, suitcase.
First song you have ever performed in public?
I guess I would win 6 ABC Boogie maybe, or Elephant Called James or something like that.
Dean Martin or Freddie Mercury? One artist for the rest of your life.
Wow, what a question, boss. Dean Martin. That's a crazy question though.
Okay. Most overrated thing about the music industry?
Genre boxing.
The Navy, best thing that happened to you or the worst?
I took the good out of it. Made some money enough to be able to do what I do, or even get married and move on. And at 24, 25, that was a big thing. So so I would never have been in a state of life to be able to do what I did
If that wouldn't have happened.
if that didn't happen. Yeah.
Goa or Bangalore for a weekend? No performance involved.
Goa.
The song you have sung the most and the one you're most sick of?
Most sick of is clearly one of those songs that everybody will ask for, which would either be a couple of them: Hotel California, because the entire country knows.
Yeah.
If you have to know one English song, it will be one of these: Hotel California, Annie's song, Summer of '69. These are songs that are most
almost sick of.
cringy.
Yeah.
But
And the one you have sung the most?
one I have sung the most, that's a difficult one. Maybe Wonderful World or Can't Help Falling in Love. I don't know. Could be one of those.
Yeah.
I usually like to end the night with one of these kind of songs. But yeah,
Right. One artist you had cover for the rest of your life, no one else.
Dean would be one. Engelbert, Robbie Williams. A couple of them.
Yeah.
I love Pavarotti. I might not be able to cover everything he did, but these are people that I love.
Something a young musician does that you genuinely envy.
Take somebody home with them.
Okay. The audience type you find hardest to play for.
Networking.
A city you have performed in that surprised you.
Lots of the smaller cities like Cochin was amazing. London, Brisbane. Melbourne was absolutely banging. Bangkok is one of my favorite cities as well. So I'm saying there are a few great cities, and for me, just jumping on with a band and in a city that has no clue who I am is a biggest kick.
Yeah.
Because you see the reactions and
exactly.
And that's amazing.
Something Gina has told you about yourself that turned out to be true.
That I was meant for stage, and that in fact Opus was the stage that was created for me, in a sense. But also she was the one who kind of broke down my thought process. And as you said in something earlier on, you said impulsive and whatever else. I do it on instinct and on feel, but she would tell me stepwise as to why I did what I did. So in that sense, she was the little bit of a the logical mind. Yeah. So
the croaking winner you remember most, not Sanam.
All of them were great. Yeah, I mean, there was of course Barry was there. There was Megha. There was Andy. Sanam. Grace is still one of my favorites. So yeah. So all of them were. I mean, this absolute rock stars.
Yeah.
Venki, Sherry.
Yeah.
Lexi. I mean, all of them were absolute rock stars.
The night in Colombia, one word.
Forgettable. I mean, literally.
Yeah. The version of Carlton Braganza you're most proud of.
I don't know if proud is the right word, but definitely Jukebox Jammies was a great version.
Yeah, the whole lockdown.
Yeah, it was a great version of me. I mean, it was me and my unfiltered, naked, almost literally self. Yeah, it was me. It was just me, absolutely raw and unfiltered, because I mean, I was in my bedroom, I was just doing my thing, and people latched onto it and had fun with it. So yeah.
What Jukebox Jammies gave you that 30 years of gigs didn't?
Lots of food and alcohol and lots of love, actually, because and I said this on one of the shows. I mean, I was like, I will say, I will do this, because I was getting, you know, it became like a barter system almost. you know.
Right. Yeah.
People would send food, and people would send flowers, and a whole bunch of things, and I would sing for them.
Yeah.
It was an amazing time.
The one night at the original Opus that you wish you could relive.
So many nights, but I think the RCB nights were the
RCB nights, yes.
was amazing. I mean,
Yeah.
when you have the likes of, and Virat was a child then.
Yeah.
Virat and AB and Chris and Vittori and and Virat used to bring the whole bunch.
Yeah. And these were the after party days.
These were the after party days. I mean, it was unthinkable, unheard of.
Of course.
Mean, nobody can imagine that we did this.
Yeah. What would the 18-year-old Carlton who joined the Navy think about you now?
He wouldn't imagine that that I would have reached here. Yeah, and I think a lot of credit should go to Gina for that. I mean, pulling me out of that and pushing me into a space where, as you said, where she saw it more than I did.
Right.
Yeah.
One word for the next chapter.
The beginning.
The Vic Fix. Why did you say yes?
We've been friends forever, and I've been saying that the people on your show, and I was like, dude, these are all, in a sense, who have made Bangalore what it is, and
Absolutely.
Glory days of Bangalore. I somehow don't, as you said, maybe I was not on your list because I'm still not Bangalore only.
No, you were, because you remember we spoke last season as well.
Yeah, we did.
And it had to happen here.
No. Yeah, I mean, this you can't. This is amazing. So but great to have been part of this, and great to be amongst all of those that you've had on the gig. Yeah, I mean, on the show, and some great friends and partners in crime.
Of course.
Yeah.
So that's the rapid fire, and honestly, that last answer is going to stick with me. Carlton, thank you so much for coming on the Vic Fix. I started this conversation knowing the outline of the man behind the story, and I am finishing it knowing the shape of the man behind it. These two are very different things. 25 chairs, a bedroom mic, a repertoire of over 2,500 songs, and the closure of a venue that a city still mourns. And somewhere in between all of that, a guy from Bandra who wanted to just jump like a monkey on stage and call it his. Thank you once again for being here, and thank you for being honest about all the parts that didn't work out. Those are the best parts, and we are looking forward to the next version of Carlton that's coming, and we wish you a lot more success for everything that you have planned ahead. And I've always been following your journey, so once again, thank you for being part of the Vic Fix.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.